courageuse et complexe. Difficile aussi parce que jusqu'il y a quelques jours, nous pensions que cette réunion pouvait avoir lieu de manière physique et on sait que lorsqu'une réunion a lieu de manière physique, il y a un certain nombre de manières de travailler que l'on peut déployer, ce qui n'est pas possible, ou plus difficile en tout cas, quand c'est une vidéoconférence. Et c'est pour ça qu'il fallait être très engagé afin de préparer de manière précise les différents sujets à l'ordre du jour. Et finalement, ce Conseil s'est bien déroulé et a permis de prendre de grandes décisions sur des sujets extrêmement importants. Le premier sujet qui a été traité, c'est naturellement la première priorité, et cela depuis de très nombreux mois maintenant, le Covid-19. Et l'urgence impérieuse qu'il y a à continuer à travailler pour améliorer en Europe la production de vaccins et améliorer aussi la capacité de distribuer les vaccins vers les États membres. C'est la priorité absolue et nous sommes tout à fait mobilisés avec la Commission européenne, avec les États membres et la Commission a eu l'occasion de faire l'état des lieux sur le travail qui était entrepris pour réussir dans les prochaines semaines à augmenter de manière substantielle la production et la livraison de vaccins vers les États membres. Le Covid-19, ça a été aussi l'occasion de faire le point sur base de la proposition de la Commission en lien avec le Green Pass digital, cette capacité de travailler ensemble pour avoir une approche commune afin de faire en sorte que l'on puisse réussir dans les prochaines semaines à décider de quelle manière on va disposer en Europe d'un instrument au service de la mobilité en Europe, au service aussi de la capacité à reprendre des activités plus normales sur le plan européen, faisant cela aussi avec nos partenaires sur le plan international. Et puis, il y avait aussi à l'agenda des sujets internationaux, spécialement la question de la Turquie. And you know that Turkey and the Eastern Mediterranean is a very important priority for the European Union, for the member states. You know also that this is a difficult debate. It's not the first time that we have this debate. And we prepared very well the conclusions that are agreed, conclusions which are based on a double idea. First, we have decided to task the Commission and the High Representative in order to propose a possible positive agenda but conditional. It means that we hope that Turkey will maintain a moderate behaviour, a positive behaviour in the next weeks and in the next months, and it means that we are ready with the European Council, with the Member States, to put more concrete proposals on the table in order to have a more stable, a more predictable relationship with Turkey. And we have identified the possible topics in order to improve the relationships. First, the modernisation of the custom unions, people-to-people activities and mobility, and of course the migration topic. And this is our intention, to work very hard in order to be able to put some concrete proposals on the table. And we will have the opportunity to come back again in June at the level of the European Council in order, I hope, to take more formal decisions. But this step is an important step in the right direction. This is an important topic. On Russia, it was just an information point, and we intend to have on a forthcoming European Council the strategic debate on Russia, but we know what are our position because we had the opportunity the last days to express the European position on Russia. And then we had also the opportunity to tackle some economic topics, the single market and the digital agenda. And you know that with the Green Deal, the digital ambition is one of the two fundamental pillars for the new European model, for the new European paradigm. And with the decisions that we took today, through those conclusions that we have agreed on, we give a very strong signal that we will work actively with the Commission, with the Member States, in order to use the digital ambition as leverage in order to improve the economic development, to improve the innovation, and to make clear what are our priorities in the short term, in the mid term, and in the longer term. Je voudrais sur ce point de la question digitale, répéter que les décisions qui sont prises au travers des orientations qui ont été validées aujourd'hui donnent un cadre pour les prochaines années autour duquel la Commission et les États membres vont s'atteler à être mobilisés pour faire en sorte que l'on puisse progresser et trouver cet équilibre entre, d'une part, cette ambition de souveraineté digitale et cette volonté de s'inscrire dans des économies ouvertes. C'est ce chemin-là que nous voulons suivre. On a aussi eu l'occasion avec la présidente de la Banque centrale européenne, avec le président de l'Eurogroupe, de faire le point dans le cadre du sommet de la zone euro, à la fois sur le redéploiement économique dans le cadre de cette crise et surtout après cette crise Covid qui frappe le monde. On a aussi l'occasion de débattre du rôle international de l'euro. Nous avons agréé un cadre qui va nous permettre aux États membres, à la Commission et au ministre des Finances de travailler dans les prochaines semaines sur les 4 piliers, vous le verrez dans les conclusions, qui fondent ce cadre pour un rôle international de l'euro. Et enfin, last but not least, we had the opportunity tonight to have an exceptional Euro Summit, because for the first time in 11 years we welcomed the President of the United States. Last time it was 11 years ago with Barack Obama, and it was the opportunity for the President of the United States to express his vision about the future cooperation between the EU and the United States, and it was also the opportunity for us, the European Union, to express our very strong commitment for this fundamental Transatlantic alliance. On a eu l'occasion d'identifier les sujets sur lesquels nous allons être engagés ensemble. D'une part, bien sûr, le Covid-19, la nécessité de garantir l'accès aux vaccins, la nécessité de garantir les chaînes d'approvisionnement. C'est un point fondamental pour qu'il y ait des vaccins accessibles partout en Europe, aux États-Unis et partout dans le monde, notamment grâce au système COVAX pour lequel nous sommes mobilisés, les États-Unis également. Nous avons aussi eu l'occasion d'aborder notre volonté commune de prospérité partout dans le monde afin de faire progresser les conditions de vie. Et ça nécessite effectivement une mobilisation sur le terrain économique pour lequel nous souhaitons être engagés. Le pilier climatique, le pilier digital, vous voyez la cohérence dans le message qui est donné. Et puis, il y a un point clé, un point qui est central. Nous avons eu l'occasion de le mettre en évidence. L'Union européenne est un projet de paix. L'Union européenne est un projet de prospérité. L'Union européenne est un projet qui se fonde sur des valeurs de dignité de chaque être humain, de démocratie, d'état de droit. Et au siècle passé, après les atrocités de la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, les États-Unis, l'Europe, avec d'autres partenaires, nous avons jeté les bases d'un ordre multilatéral pour fonder la coopération internationale fondée sur des règles. Et puis nous savons que dans les années qui ont suivi, cet ordre a été mis sous pression par l'Empire soviétique qui a tenté d'imposer ses propres règles. Et puis, on a eu la conviction que l'on pouvait faire triompher partout les valeurs de démocratie, d'état de droit. Et nous constatons à nouveau que ces valeurs de démocratie, d'état de droit sont mises sous pression. Nous constatons que nous faisons face à des menaces intérieures et extérieures, désinformation, cyberattaques, menaces hybrides. Et plus que jamais, nous mesurons États-Unis et Union européenne, avec nos partenaires, ceux qui partagent les mêmes valeurs, nous avons une responsabilité face à l'histoire, pour les prochaines générations, parce que nous savons que les décisions que nous serons capables de prendre ensemble sur le terrain de la démocratie, sur le terrain de la sécurité, sur le terrain de la stabilité, auront un impact pendant de nombreuses années, auront un impact pour nos enfants, auront un impact pour nos petits-enfants. Et c'est fort de cette conviction-là que cette réunion avait une dimension très concrète, opérationnelle, la volonté d'engager le dialogue, comme cela a été le cas il y a quelques heures, lorsque hier, le secrétaire d'État Blinken était présent ici. Mais il y a aussi une autre dimension, c'est la manière dont on envisage la paix, la sécurité et notre responsabilité vis-à-vis du présent, mais aussi vis-à-vis de l'avenir. Voilà les quelques éléments que je voulais partager avec vous. Vous le voyez, c'était un conseil qui s'annonçait difficile, qui s'annonçait compliqué. C'est un conseil hors du commun par la présence d'un invité exceptionnel dans un moment de la vie politique internationale qui est un moment carrefour et un moment pour lequel nous souhaitons faire les bons choix, prendre la bonne direction et le faire avec les partenaires qui partagent les mêmes valeurs que nous.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Madam President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Barend. Good evening. So indeed, this was a long and good European Council. We started by discussing COVID-19, and this in a situation where we have an epidemiological situation of great concern. We are at the start of a third wave in Europe, and in many European member states, infections are on the rise again, mostly due to the variant B117 that is basically now in every member state. But fortunately, mortality increases remain, however, lower than the spread of the virus. So we see the very first effects of having vaccinated most of the over 80 years old. But overall, the situation is of great concern. And this highlights the importance of a fast and speedy vaccination. Now, we took stock of where we are at the moment being, a week before the end of the first quarter of 2021. Vaccination is now finally progressing steadily. We have 88 million doses that have been delivered so far, and 62 million doses have been administered. Overall, if you look at the number of people that have been fully vaccinated in Europe, these are 18.2 million, so 4.1% have already received 2 jabs. But of course, we all know we could have been much faster if all pharmaceutical companies had fulfilled their contracts. Now, looking forward to the second quarter, we basically see the same picture. We have BioNTech and Moderna that have been delivering very reliable and according to schedule and contract. Thus, we expect that they will increase their deliveries as is contracted in the second quarter and thus to gain pace. Additionally, we see that now Johnson & Johnson is kicking in the second quarter. And let me remind you that Johnson & Johnson vaccine only requires a single shot for full vaccination. AstraZeneca has committed to a lower number of doses than was contracted. Here, AstraZeneca has committed to 70 million doses instead of the contracted 180 million doses. But overall, if we have a look at the second quarter, what is committed, it means that we are on track to achieve our goal that this summer we want to have 70% of the adult population in the European Union vaccinated. I also presented to the leaders the latest changes for the transparency and export mechanism for exports of COVID-19 vaccines. You know that yesterday we added to the scope of this mechanism the criteria of reciprocity and proportionality. Just to be very clear, we want to make sure that Europe gets its fair share of vaccines, because we must be able to explain to our citizens that if companies export their vaccines to the whole world, it is because they are fully honouring their commitments and it does not risk security of supply in the European Union. And let there be no mistake, the European Union can be proud and is proud to be the home of vaccine producers who not only deliver to European citizens but export around the globe. Also, the European Union is and will forever be a fervent supporter of global cooperation. Our track record speaks for itself, and it was good to create this transparency. Since the start of the mechanism on the 1st of February, more than 380 export requests to 33 different countries have been granted, and only 1 has been stopped. And the figures are even more impressive if you calculate the amount of doses between 1st of December and today that have been exported. Overall, up to date, the total number of exports from the European Union has risen to 77 million doses. That shows that Europe is the region that exports the most vaccines worldwide, and we will continue exporting also through COVAX and to protect humanitarian and health workers around the world. So the bottom line is we invite others to match our openness. The fight against the pandemic, of course, was also one of the topics addressed with President Biden tonight. We were indeed glad for this exchange of views. The European Union and the United States are both major producers of vaccines, and we agreed that we have a strong interest in working together to keep global supply chains functioning and to prepare already for the next challenges to come in this pandemic, in an area of pandemics. The United States is an important and valued partner to the European Union, and we want to forge a new EU-US global agenda to meet the challenges, but also to seize the opportunities of our times. And indeed, this comes on top of the excellent discussions I had with Secretary of State Antony Blinken just yesterday. The European Union and the United States must develop together true solutions, set ambitious objectives, and then work together to achieve them. It was interesting to see the agenda, the topics that have been presented by President Biden. Of course, first of all, how to get COVID-19 under control. But indeed, his second major topic was fighting climate change and to drive an inclusive economic growth that is clean and sustainable. His third topic was to lead the economic recovery to a jobs-rich recovery. We share this common ambition. And how to boost innovation on cutting-edge technologies. And finally, indeed, that we stand united as democracies, defending human rights and defending human dignity. Finally, a few remarks on Turkey, the discussion on Turkey we had. As you know, President Michel and me, we spoke to President Erdogan last Friday. Since the December European Council, Turkey has shown a more constructive attitude, including in its bilateral relations with several EU member states. These are positive and welcomed steps on which we must try to build on. However, we also know that this progress of de-escalation remains fragile. So together with High Representative Borrell, we submitted a report on the state of play of EU-Turkey political, economic and trade relations, as well as on instruments and options on how to proceed now with this relationship. And in light of Turkey's recently more constructive attitude, the report puts forward possible areas of cooperation to allow for a progressive and proportionate approach. We have decided in the European Council to go for a two-step approach. We will further engage with Turkey on issues such as migration financing, high-level dialogues, and modernizing the customs union. If Turkey does not move forward constructively, if it returns to unilateral actions or provocations, in particular in the Eastern Mediterranean, of course, we would suspend these cooperation measures. And finally, the Commission got invited by Council to present a proposal to the Council for the continuation of the financing for Syrian refugees, as well as in Turkey, as in Jordan and Lebanon, and other parts of the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Before turning to the Q&A, I would just like to point out that we've just released the statement of the members of the European Council, so I invite you kindly to check that on our website on all foreign matters and on COVID and all the other topics that were addressed during this meeting. Can I please ask you to switch on your cameras? We've got translation into 6 languages, and we've got a lot of questions, but I'm first going to turn to Christian Spielmann, de AFP. Christian, on vous écoute.
Oui, bonjour monsieur, bonjour madame. Écoutez, j'ai une question sur la Turquie. Vous avez dit que vous avez parlé avec le président Erdogan vendredi. Et le dimanche, la Turquie a annoncé qu'elle sortait de la Convention d'Istanbul, ce qui a été un petit peu considéré comme un camouflet. Alors, ma question est très simple. Vous êtes très engageant, vous êtes très optimiste, mais on a un peu l'impression que les droits de l'homme les droits fondamentaux, les vraies valeurs de l'Union européenne sont mises sous le tapis. Donc ma question est simple, est-ce qu'en juin, M. Erdogan doit revenir dans la Convention d'Istanbul? Est-ce que M. Erdogan doit libérer les prisonniers d'opinion? Est-ce que M. Erdogan doit renoncer à interdire le deuxième parti d'opposition, le HDP, qui est pro-kurde? En fait, est-ce que M. Erdogan doit respecter les valeurs de l'Union européenne? Est-ce que M. Erdogan doit accepter ce qu'il dénonce aujourd'hui comme étant des ingérences insupportables de l'Union européenne dans les affaires intérieures de son pays? Merci.
Vous aurez l'occasion de prendre connaissance des conclusions et vous verrez que le message que nous adressons est un message qui est clair. D'une part, effectivement, il y a le souhait de pouvoir progresser en identifiant un certain nombre de thèmes dans le cadre desquels nous pensons qu'il y a une coopération mutuelle qui pourrait être utile pour amener plus de stabilité, plus de sécurité, plus de prévisibilité. Et vous verrez en même temps dans les conclusions qui ont été adoptées, nous exprimons des messages qui sont totalement conformes à l'ADN européen en termes de dignité humaine, en termes de droits des femmes, en termes d'état de droit et en termes de valeurs démocratiques. Et vous verrez dans ces conclusions que les questions d'état de droit, de valeurs démocratiques font partie intégrante du dialogue que nous souhaitons avoir entre l'Union européenne et la Turquie.
Yes, we have agreed that we have now a time to look at the attitude of Turkey in these different matters. It is very clear for me that the Istanbul Convention is an important milestone forward in protecting women and protecting children, and we deplore that Turkey has left the Istanbul Convention, although we also call on member states in the European Union to ratify the Istanbul Convention. So for us it is important to move forward in this important matter. It is an overall self-explaining necessity that there is an understanding how to protect women against violence, how to protect children against violence.
Thank you, Madam President. We have Nikos from Bloomberg. Who's next? Nikos.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. It wasn't clear to me from your introductory remarks what exactly was decided today. Has the Council decided or not tougher curbs on vaccine exports? Also, given the fact that it seems that the EU has exported more vaccines than it has administered so far. And a second, more specific question, if I may, did you discuss at all the subject of Astra, more specifically, especially the curious case in Italy, and also the fact that the company, with just 5 days to go before the end of the quarter, is way behind its reduced target of deliveries? Thank you.
So, of course, we have discussed the overall mechanism. It is very good that we introduced that mechanism because what we wanted is, first of all, transparency. And we have created transparency, and that is a transparency on exports where we can be proud of. We can take pride in the fact that the European Union is one of the most open regions when it comes to vaccines and pharmaceutical products. And we invite others to join us in this openness because we know we have worldwide supply chains that have to be intact. And it is of utmost importance that we get back to an attitude where in general there is openness for export. That was point number one, the transparency that is necessary. But of course, we have to and want to explain to our European citizens that they get their fair share. And therefore, the second principle is that companies have to honor their contract to the European Union before they export to other regions in the world. And this is, of course, the case with AstraZeneca. I think it is clear for the company that, first of all, the company has to catch up, has to honor the contract it has with the European member states before it can engage again in exporting vaccines. And the third element is that we are discussing with the companies that they keep proportionality and reciprocity as a principle. The reciprocity element is something where we needed also transparency to show how much is going in different countries that are also producing vaccines, so that it is in our common interest that supply chains stay intact, that an exchange of vaccines is the normal state of play, and to have these principles in place. Again, those companies who do deliver, those companies who honor their contract, these are the ones on which basically the whole supply is relying. And therefore, for us, it's important to have a very constructive approach with these companies, to be in a constant dialogue, what we are on a daily basis, to make sure that we deliver to the European citizens, but that we also deliver to the world. Oh, excuse me, I have not answered your question on the vaccines in Italy. You were asking that too. Here, the company has made clear that of the 29 million doses, 13 million doses are for COVAX, and 16 million doses are for European member states. And indeed, for us it's important that vaccines are being delivered to COVAX. COVAX is the main pillar to make sure that low and middle income countries have access to vaccines. The drug substance that has been used for fill and finish in the Italian production site came from South Korea and China, and this was and is the usual way to work on producing the vaccines for COVAX.
Maybe just a few words. There is a very strong consensus among the member states. First, we want to guarantee the supply chains and we want an open economy. But at the same time, we want more transparency. And this is the goal with this mechanism put on the table by the Commission. And we want to make sure that the contracts are fulfilled. And indeed, there are some concerns, serious concerns with regard to this one company. And we hope that with the support of this tool, this instrument, it will be possible to increase not only the production and the delivery. And then finally, another important point. A few weeks ago, in a newsletter, I've tried to explain that Europe is a major producer of vaccines. We export a lot of vaccines, and we have all the tools in order to succeed and to increase the production and to deliver more doses in the next weeks.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have Angela Mauro from Huffington Post. Angela, you have the floor. Angela? There you are. Could you please unmute? Hello? We can't hear you. We'll take another question. Maria Psara, you are next from Open TV. Maria.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you see me maybe?
We can hear you and see you.
Okay.
Please go.
Two questions on Turkey, if I may. You mentioned migration, modernizing custom union, two things that Turkey has been asking for a long time. Could you say that this is the beginning of the new era for the relationship between the EU and Turkey? And the second question, you were considering of going to Turkey. That's what you said after the teleconference with President Erdogan. Will this trip be before June? Do you know already? Thanks.
Yeah, two points. First point, I can only repeat that with this decision that we took today, we have a clear framework, and we really hope it will be possible to improve the relationship with Turkey. But at the same time, I repeat that for us it's important that Turkey keep a positive behavior, a moderate behavior, and we hope that the dialogue will be fruitful. But we remain cautious and remain careful. And indeed, we are in contact with the Turkish authorities in order to pay a visit, probably in April, to Turkey.
Well, what the migration topic is concerned, we think the Commission was mandated today or invited by the Council to work on that. As you know, there is the EU-Turkey statement since 2016. First of all, the return and resettlement mechanism has to be put in place again. And secondly, indeed, so far the 6 billion in this EU-Turkey statement have been contracted by now. 4 billion have been dispersed. The other projects are still ongoing. We have the financial contribution for a bridging time frame till the end of 2021. It is important, we think, to continue to engage in this field for a very simple reason. Turkey is hosting 3.6 million Syrian refugees, and there's a major contribution from the European Union to support those Syrian refugees, be it schooling for the children. 2 million children are in school during that time, have been in school during that time, be it support for example, medical appointments, but also be it investment in the infrastructure. Without any doubt, Turkey is shouldering the lion's share of the burden, but we think it is important to keep on going with the support in this humanitarian cause concerning the Syrian refugees in Turkey. And the discussion and negotiations will go on how to proceed with this EU-Turkey statement. This is one of the major topics we will certainly discuss.
Thank you. We'll take a question from Politico. David Hersenhorn. David, you're next.
Thanks very much, Brent. A question for each president, if I can. President Michel, I wonder if you could talk to us about your conversation with President Biden, and specifically if he'd made any offer to send vaccines at some point to the EU, perhaps even to Austria, to help you out in various ways. And for President von der Leyen, on the export control mechanism, I wonder how you would react to folks who say, as this pandemic era leads to a boom in the vaccine industry, will this discourage companies from setting up in the EU because they see these sorts of bureaucratic restrictions? And also, given the numbers you presented, should your friend Boris Johnson also come forward with his numbers of exports of vaccines around the world? Thank you both.
In fact, I would like to repeat again that Europe exports a lot of doses everywhere in the world, and the top priority is to increase the production of vaccines. And indeed, we are convinced that it's important to have a very strong cooperation with the United States when it comes to the situation of the supply chain. So that is why the Commission, and especially Thierry Breton and the task force, they are in touch with the American administration in order to guarantee the supply chains and the certainty for us in Europe that we are able in the next weeks and months to produce more doses. And we cooperate also with the United States and with other countries in the world when it comes to the COVAX facility. You know that we played a very important role, the European Union, in order to launch this initiative, because with Joe Biden, and we repeated this conviction, we will not be safe until everyone is safe, and that's why it's key to cooperate, it's key to progress, it's key to vaccinate and to speed up the vaccinations campaign.
So on your question, I think that it was good to introduce the export authorization mechanism, indeed, to create transparency, because that proves that the European Union is the most open, reliably exporting region in the world. The United States have their executive order. I have no knowledge so far of UK exports. Perhaps I'm mistaken and waiting for that transparency. And the same goes for many other regions in the world. So if only the export authorization mechanism created the transparency to show how much the European region is doing when it comes to producing and exporting vaccines to the world. That's the first point. where I think it's encouraging for the companies because their achievements are being honored by that. The second point is that indeed we have a strong interest in expanding the vaccine production in the European Union to be prepared for the next years, to be prepared for variants to come, to be prepared for the time where we will, at a certain point in time, have to reboost the immunity against COVID or COVID variants in the European Union. So our interest is to intensify the cooperation with the reliable companies, the companies that have proven that they can scale up and that they honor their contracts over the next years. Also to invest in that, because we think in an era of pandemic, it's the right way to go.
Thank you, Madam President. This concludes our press conference of this evening. Thank you all for joining, and see you soon.